Practicing minimalism has led me to acquire certain inexpensive habits, and I'd want to share them with you in a video today. Fewer purchases came naturally with minimalism, but there is more to it than that. Welcome to Finance Dojo. We aim to be the best personal finance educational channel you'll ever need. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell right now so you won't miss out. Let's get started. And as always, I'll just discuss what I do and why in the hopes that you'll gain some insight or inspiration from these suggestions. I'm going to list 10 things I do to live more simply and explain why I do them. Number 1. Perform activities that do not cost money. I used to think that getting out of the house and doing something fun required spending money. But that isn't the case at all, because there are several activities I do that don't cost anything. I don't have to go skydiving or shopping in order to have fun. I like to skate and play basketball. The first time I go out and play, I have to buy a basketball, but after that, it's always free. It doesn't cost me anything every time I want to go do it, except perhaps replacing the basketball every few years. Just as an example, I don't pay anything to go for a stroll in the park, visit the beach, or read. Yes, I don't have to pay anything to read, because a library card is free. I read far less than I would like to, but I'm trying to change that. I finally understood that having fun didn't require me to spend money every time. These things occupy the time I may have otherwise spent purchasing. So I felt like I received more enjoyment out of them since I never experienced buyer's remorse. Number 2. Stop buying clothes only for one occasion. This wasn't simply something I did, it was more of a habit for me. I would typically go out and buy something just for that event if I had a family function, a special occasion, or was traveling. I used to buy clothes that I knew I would only sometimes wear. My vacation to Iceland is a prime example. Naturally, I had my eye on a $200 jacket before my trip. I chose to wear my extremely old North Face jacket that I've been holding on to even though I knew I would have needed it every single day I was there. It doesn't make sense for someone in Florida to spend $200 on a jacket that they would have worn for little more than 2 weeks, even though I'm sure it would have lasted me a very long time. This is simply my opinion, especially if you travel as little as I do. One of my favorite lessons from minimalism is the concept of making fewer decisions, which for me immediately relates to clothes. No more wearing clothing that is appropriate for just one situation and giving up comfort for style. I don't keep anything in my closet that I don't see myself wearing at least once a week. Number 3. Use a water bottle. I don't want to regularly pay money for things that I can have for free. I haven't had to buy water every day since I made the one-time purchase of a $10 water bottle. Of course, I invested in a Brita, and sure, I occasionally have to replace the filter, but even a simple modification can result in significant financial savings over time. Additionally, I think it encourages me to drink more water, which is a good thing. Number 4. Always have a change jar. Having this small change jar is another minor improvement to my economical habits that has significantly improved my finances. I use this small mason jar up until it is full, at which point I switch to a larger container before deciding to finally cash it in. I had been throwing loose change into this jar for a year. I estimate that I made roughly $400 from it every time I used cash and received change back. The money goes directly into this jar. Even though I'm not sure what I'm saving for, it takes practically no effort to do this, and I have no other purpose for pennies. Number 5. No spending day of the week. I've only begun doing this recently. Since I did not come up with this concept, I will merely describe how I use it. Every week, I'm going to set aside a day when I won't spend any money. Therefore, if I run out of gas, I'll have to walk. And if I run out of food, those keyboard crumbs could start to seem rather appetizing. Since it will inevitably be harder to go out and spend money on a work day, I'm going to try to create this on that day of the week. This will help me develop much greater self-discipline and will further demonstrate to me that I don't have to spend money every time I leave the house. The purpose of this is to stop those impulsive, unplanned purchases. Number 6. Look for the best reviews and the lowest price. I have a special habit of reading 100 reviews before making a purchase. It's just sort of what I've always done, and it typically works out for me. I always look up reviews or videos before paying anything, whether it's from Amazon or somewhere else. Even if it's only for a $40 desk chair, it could seem a bit expensive to go through so much trouble. Even though the ratings on my old desk chair weren't excellent and it cost a lot more than I'm ready to share, I went ahead with it since I liked the way it looked. I opted to sell it at a steep discount after I discovered what a piece of junk it was, and I was able to replace it with a $40 Amazon chair. I do this with everything, but my chair was only one example. I studied reviews, compared pricing, and determined that it was worthwhile. Over time, I've saved a ton of headaches and money by reading reviews and comparing pricing. Number 7. Stop purchasing coffee. You've all heard this one before, and although I don't mind treating myself to coffee once in a while, it's not something I do every day. I won't get into the specifics of how much a $5 coffee cost over a few months when I made it twice a week at home and brought it when I wanted to. This is cheaper, but more importantly, it is consistent. Therefore, I like it. Nothing can ruin my day more quickly than placing an order at Starbucks and having it taste entirely different from the other Starbucks location I go to. Number 8. Save my credit card bonus points. I occasionally pay with cash, but I tend to utilize my credit cards cautiously while making purchases. Depending on where I am or what I'm buying, I choose between using one of my 2 credit cards. Depending on the category, each one receives a specific number of points. I won't get into specifics, however, my bank issues both of my credit cards. My points may be redeemed on my app and put directly into my savings. As long as I remain on top of things, I won't be getting into debt, and my savings are increasing gradually but steadily. Number 9. Sell anything that you no longer need. When I talk about decluttering, I mentioned doing this. The majority of the things I decluttered ended up being sold, particularly the electronics I know about, or those are sold on an app like OfferUp. This is an excellent way for me to recover part of my money I spent on purchases, and in some rare instances, all of the money I paid. You might be shocked at how quickly certain items sell when they're listed, so I always advise attempting to sell them before throwing them away or giving them away. It was more delightful to have that space once I sold whatever I was willing to let go of than to cope with these items that weren't even being used. Number 10. Be content. Let me clarify what I mean. I'm not just telling myself to be more grateful. I just learned to be happy with less. Because if I have to spend money to be happy, there's a bigger problem. It will be an endless cycle of spending. I've discovered how to be content by doing and spending less. Even though they aren't tangible, I view negative space and free time as assets. Since that's how I'm feeling, at least at this moment, I think I could modify this point from being content to being joyful. Though you don't have to be a minimalist to embrace any of these practices, living a more economical life has strongly been associated with minimalism in my case. I'm hoping that by sharing some of the things I do, they may encourage you to give a couple of them a try and see if they will help you save a few more dollars. As always, this video is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. You should always do your own research and speak to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.